It's time to take a trip around the world and delve into all the weird foods our species like to chow down. Unfortunately, the world isn't only full of those tasty breakfasts we spoiled you with a while back, if only. Consider this a public service and an education to save you from shock when you come across these, the 30 weirdest foods from around the world. Chicken's feet, East Asia, Caribbean, South America and South Africa. Considering how many places it's eaten, perhaps it's unfair to deem this weird. Still, it's made mostly of skin, making it a little gelatinous in texture. They're pretty tasty when flavored properly, but the bones get on your nerves after a while. Haggis, Scotland. A sheep's heart, liver and lungs minced and mixed with onions, oatmeal, suet and seasoned with salt and spices cooked inside the animal's stomach. If that doesn't sound appealing, I just don't know what will. Tripe, all over the world. The stomach lining of various animals with a sponge-like honeycomb texture. Looks like some weird kind of sea plant life and has a peculiar and not entirely appetizing rubbery texture. Served up with various sauces to add flavor or simply with an accompaniment like onions. Tuna eyeballs, Japan. Although it sounds nasty, apparently it's rather tame, tasting pretty similar to squid or octopus. None of the gunk you'd normally associate with slicing up eyeballs then? Black pudding, blood sausage, Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe. Pretty widely available, really. Still, there are a large number of people who find the idea revolting. And silly people they are, as the finished product is tasty. Congealed blood cooked up with various natural flavorings, thickening agents like suet and breadcrumbs and stuffed into a sausage skin, lush. Spam, United States. The famous mystery meat. It's said that spam is made from chopped pork shoulder meat, ham and potato starch, but who knows what ends up in there. Hakarl, Iceland. The rotting carcass of a Greenland or basking, somniosity, shark. It's buried underground in a shallow pit and pressed with stones so the poisonous internal fluids that allow it to live in such cold waters can be drained out, making the meat safe to eat. After this, it's hung out to dry before being cut into strips and served. With a smell that's described as ammonia-rich and a strong fishy flavor, it was described by Anthony Bourdain as the single worst, most disgusting and terrible tasting thing he'd tried. Surströmming, Sweden. Baltic Sea herring fermented with just enough salt used to prevent it from rotting. Mainly found tinned in brine these days, when opened it releases such a pungent aroma that it usually needs to be eaten outside. Sounds delightful. Century egg, 100-year-old egg, China. Yeah, okay, it's neither a century nor a millennium old, but this egg is pretty rotten. After being preserved in a mixture of clay, ash and quicklime for a few months, the yolk turns a dark green or even black and slimy, while the white turns to a dark brown translucent jelly. Apparently, it smells strongly of sulfur and ammonia, but tastes like a hard-boiled egg, until you breathe out, that is. Stinkheads, Alaska, United States. The fermented head of a king salmon, buried underground and for a few weeks and eaten as a pungent, putty-like mush. Fancy it? Shiakura, Japan. Now this really does sound bad. A dish made of pieces of meat taken from a selection of sea creatures, served in a brown, viscous paste of their own salted and fermented viscera. Oh, I forgot to say, it's all served raw. You enjoy, I'm going to grab a bucket. ING lead, grasshoppers, Thailand. So, yes, this is a big old grasshopper seasoned with salt, pepper power and chili and fried in a big wok. Tastes a little like hollow popcorn skin, except a little juice squirts out when you bite into it. Nice. Wasp crackers, Japan. Yep, you guessed it, it's a biscuit filled with wasps. Think chocolate chip cookies, only the insects replace the chalky chips. Apparently the digger wasp, which the biscuit contains, has a pretty mean sting. I wish your tongue good luck. Fried spider, Cambodia. Fried spider is a regional delicacy popular in the Cambodian town of Skuon, prepared by marinating it in MSG, sugar and salt and then frying it in garlic. Apparently, it has more meat on it than a grasshopper, but also has brown sludge in the abdomen, which consists of mainly innards, eggs and excrement. Witchetty grub, Australia. Part of the Australian bushmeat family, this was another staple of Indigenous Australians in the desert. These can either be eaten raw, when it tastes like almonds, or lightly cooked, where its skin crisps like roast chicken and its insides take on the look and consistency of scrambled egg. Esquimal, Mexico. Also known as insect caviar, this dish is made of the edible larvae and pupae of ants, harvested from the tequila or mezcal plant. Considered something of a delicacy, it is said to have the consistency of cottage cheese and a buttery, nutty taste. Byeondaeji, South Korea. Lovely, lovely silkworm. Simply boiled or steamed and lightly seasoned, this is popular snack all over Korea and usually sold from street vendors. Apparently they taste like wood, if you've ever tried wood. Escargots à la Bourguignon, France. Snails cooked in a sauce of white wine, garlic, butter and parsley served in their shells. Said to have a similar consistency to mussels or clams, though I found them to be pretty rubbery. Perhaps best to try in a decent, reasonably priced restaurant rather than the sauté version down a back street in Hong Kong. Sago Delight, Southeast Asia. Edible sago grubs are said to be creamy tasting when raw or meaty and like bacon when cooked. Generally seasoned and flavored in the same way as the other Southeast Asian creepy crawly favorite, jingleed, and served alongside. My friend gauged when she ate one and said it was pregnant, a braver being than me. Stink bugs, Africa. Used to flavor stews or eaten on their own, stink bugs are said to have a crunch to them and taste a little like apple. Prepared by boiling, the bugs release defensive pheromones in a last-ditch attempt to survive, and while it hurts the eyes, it's no more successful than the onion's weak survival attempt. Mopane worms, Southern Africa. A big fat, juicy worm that's said to be full of meat. Although traditionally dried or smoked to preserve, they are usually rehydrated and cooked with tomato or chili sauce to flavor. According to an American couple who tried the dish on the Food Network, it tastes like honey barbecued chicken. One to give a go, I'd say. Tequila worm, Mexico. Not actually found in tequila, but rather its cheaper cousin, mezcal. It's said that the legendary hallucinogenic properties of the worm are pretty much non-existent. All a marketing gimmick, you fools. Marmite, or Vegemite, UK, New Zealand and Australia. Made from yeast extract, a byproduct of brewing beer, Marmite, or Vegemite as it's known as in Australia, is essentially the slurry from the bottom of the barrel that most breweries just throw away. It's a sticky brown paste with a concentrated, salty flavor that's usually spread on toast or eaten with cheese. People are either love it or hate it. I hate it. Pickled egg, UK. Pretty much summed up in the name, this is a hard-boiled egg that's been left to go cold and stuck in a jar of vinegar. The sour liquid penetrates right to the heart, meaning the powdery yolk in the center is uncomfortably sour. I'm yet to be sold on these. Bird's nest soup, Southeast Asia. This Asian delicacy is made from the nest of the swiftlet bird, who instead of collecting twigs for its bed, builds it out of its own gummy saliva, which goes hard when exposed to air. Usually they build high up on cliff faces. Harvesting them is a dangerous business and many people die each year. Whether its rubbery taste is worth this human sacrifice, I've yet to find out. Fugu, Japan. Made famous by The Simpsons, this little delicacy has the potential to be deadly if prepared incorrectly. As such, only chefs that have been drilled to perfection are allowed to handle the serving of the pufferfish. Still, it's said to make one mean little sashimi dish. Steak tartare, France. Is this weird? I mean, French waiters will still ask foreigners over and over again if they know what they are getting themselves into, but surely this is pretty well known now. It's made up of good quality raw ground beef, served with onions, capers, raw egg and seasoned with Worcester sauce and other condiments, usually with rye bread or fries on the side. Considering I like my steak served blue, this was always the next logical step, and man, is it good. Cherry blossom meat, Japan. Interesting one to bring up after that whole European horse meat scandal. While I have the same aversion most people do to horse meat, I also kind of recognize the insincerity. I mean, once horses were our companions and transport. Now they are the playthings of rich people. Perhaps something of a nostalgic attachment? Anyway, cherry blossom meat is raw horse, served either on its own or as part of sushi. It's said to be low in calories and low in fat, but it's not something I can see myself trying, despite savoring the raw flesh of cows. Starfish, China. Served dry and covered in hard and spiny armor, this isn't a snack you want to bite into. According to online accounts, you want to break of a leg and peel open the skin to get at the green-colored meat inside. Hopefully it won't regenerate in your stomach. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.